I wake up to stuff like this pretty much every day. I do hear about people quitting van life, full-time van life, full-time RV life. Why do people want to quit? And then I look down at my hands, and I took a shower last night, but, you know, I'm already fairly dirty. And I think it's things like that that make people want to quit. Things that you're not expecting. It's expected that you're going to get dirty when you're camping, but when you're living this way, you're going to be outside fixing things, and then you come inside and you're using the water to wash your hands. But then you start thinking, oh, how much water do I have? I don't want to have to go into town every couple days to get more water. So you start thinking about conserving, and then you start putting up with like a certain level of dirt. And I do wash my hands still a lot, but I just use a little trickle of water, little tiny trickle. And I have the system where I let the water come out, and then if it starts to break up on the stream coming down, as it before it hits the sink, then I know, okay, that's a fine amount of water to use. It's just a trickle. If it's a straight stream all the way down and touches the bottom of the sink, then I'm like, oh, that's too much water. You start to adjust your lifestyle, and that comes down to like food, how much food you can carry, things like power, like, oh, can I run the TV at night? Well, it's been cloudy for the last few days, so I have very limited power stored in the batteries, so I better not even run the TV. If I want to watch Netflix, now I got to watch on my phone because that uses less power. Things like that. And then if those things start to get to you, like you're dealing with bugs coming in the rig, these are going to be reasons you're going to want to quit. For me, they really become obstacles that I want to overcome, that I want to overpower and say, oh yeah, there's tons of bugs in my rig right now, but I'm going to take the time to smash them all or shoo them out. I've learned how to catch flies with my bare hands. I can see a fly now and I can just go like that, and almost every single time I will catch it in my hand and then I throw it outside. I don't like to smush them in the rig because then it just makes a nasty mess. The little tiny bugs you can smush with a wet paper towel. That works pretty good. In one of my recent videos, watch at the very end because I gave a really good tip for dealing with bugs inside your rig. It's a freaking golden tip. But people will quit for those things that are kind of little to me now. They're kind of small issues. But then there's also bigger issues, right? Like finances. And that is, if you need to have a little bit of money saved up for when something really big happens that you need to get fixed. Working on the engine in the truck or suspension on the truck in the trailer, repairing a tire, if you get a hole, then you gotta plug it, then you gotta bring it to the shop. Figuring those things out, if you're not a little bit handy or willing to learn, and anybody can do most of the things that I do. And there's things that I will not even attempt. You have to know when to draw your line too, and take it to somebody. But out here, getting things fixed by an expert, someone that you're going to pay, it's a lot harder because you're out in the middle of the woods. There's going to be extra fees for them. They're like, oh, we got to go out in the woods. It's going to be an extra 100, $200, that kind of thing. And you're going to have to wait. Some people, they won't even come out. You might have to tow your rig into town and then leave it there overnight. So you're going to have to find a hotel. So you want to have a little bit of extra money for those emergencies. If you're not prepared in that sense and you're not willing to do some of the smaller tasks and then even the bigger tasks on your own to save money, but then also just for convenience, because sometimes it's easier to fix stuff in the middle of the woods than it is to take it into town, find a place to park, detach, then wait and hope you can sleep in your rig again that night. That can be a huge hassle. That would be a reason people would quit. I'm lucky because I live by myself. I got my dogs, and we do get on each other's nerves a little bit. Echo never gets on my nerves. So I can imagine if you're living with another person, what that would be like. It's probably really awesome in a lot of ways because you can split tasks up. You can leave somebody back in your rig if you need to go into town, so you don't have to worry about security issues, that kind of thing. Plus, you have someone to fend off a bear, to help you if some crazy meth head comes and starts knocking on your door. You got backup. You got your partner there. But then also living in these small environments. I got a 20-foot trailer. Some people have smaller trailers, or they're just living in a truck camper or a van. You might kind of get on each other's nerves. It just kind of depends on your relationship. And I think if you watch a lot of YouTubers, you'll see that some couples, they kind of, it works out for a while. It's a lot of fun, and then you realize, oh, we're gonna have to. get separate rigs, and then, if they even get to that point, and they get separate rigs and they're traveling together, and then they're gone. They're separate for the rest of their lives. Basically, I'm living in like the size of a small bedroom. That's my living space. That has a kitchen. I got two sinks. Uh, I got a bathroom. I got a bed. A little bedroom. I got a little place to eat. A little table. I got a couch back there, but that's Echo's couch. So I have everything, all amenities, but they're all crammed into this tiny space that's smaller than your average bedroom. Definitely smaller than your average bedroom. For one person, I don't have to deal with that. I'm not ever feeling like I'm in so small of a space that I just need to get away from this person. It's just me and the dogs, and so we put up with each other pretty well. I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons people will quit this lifestyle, especially van lifers. You'll see that a lot on YouTube, the van lifers kind of breaking up and moving on. Another thing that might cause people to quit that is not a problem for me, just, this is like a personality thing. But people realize like, oh, it's harder to go to, the drive-in to get fast food. You're not going to be able to go to the grocery store as often, or when you do, it might be kind of a little bit more of a hassle. So you might not have all the food and stuff that you're used to. And then there's things like activities, like, oh, you're not going to be hanging out at the bars often, especially if it comes to like, oh, I got to leave my rig in the middle of the desert and then go driving to town. You just feel like you kind of want to be closer to your where you live, your little house, your trailer, or your truck camper if you leave your camper behind, or even if you bring that stuff into the city, it's like you're kind of watching it like a hawk. You're like, if someone can break in there, steal my generator, steal this or steal that, because you got everything right there. If you're the kind of person who really likes to socialize a lot, then you can totally do that in this community, but it's going to be different. You're going to be sitting around at campfires. You're going to be bringing your rigs around together, in the middle of the woods or the mountains or something like that. It's not going to be so much like going into town and hanging out. Maddie Taylor, she was a van lifer and she had a really cool channel, and then she moved to Germany and she got a house with her girlfriend and they live in a house now. So she totally just quit the van life, and maybe that'll happen to me someday. Um, for right now, though, I freaking love this lifestyle, and I can tell my dogs are happy. I get a lot of exercise. I get a lot of sun. I'm always, I'm just the kind of person that I'm always in awe of nature. And even if I'm not in a new area, I find new sections within that same area. I can be camped in one spot for 2 weeks and hike off in a different direction every day or every other day or whatever the weather is or what the dogs want to do. And then I'm exploring these new little areas for my campsite. And for me, that's exciting. And I get fulfilled by that. I love it so much. And so, since I love the outdoors, that's why I can't quit this lifestyle. I really can't quit it. I've really slid into this lifestyle of moving around, exploring when I get into camp, setting up camp. I love camping. Things like the dirt and the grime and the weather, and I have a stack of dirty laundry like right next to me right now. Those kinds of things I have learned to deal with and put up with, and those things don't bother me anymore. They don't bother me. I just learn how to deal with it. If I need some of these clothes like right away before I get a chance to do laundry, which means having extra water and power to do it out here, and I like to do my laundry out here. And then storage for the gray water, I got to have enough empty space in my gray tank. But if I need a few things right away, then I just take a bucket and I just wash some clothes in a bucket. Then I got socks and underwear or whatever. So I just make do. And for me, it's the reward is this. The reward is being out in good weather and experiencing nature. And you know what? As long as there's not bugs and the temperature is decent, colder weather for me is better than hot weather, like crazy hot weather. If it's kind of warm or anything below that, even really cold is fine. And then the bugs are decent, then I'm loving it. I'm freaking loving it. But people quit, and the cool thing is that they got to experience something new, and I think that that's important. That's why on this channel you guys hear me talk a lot about not encouraging people to live this way, and I don't like to encourage people to adopt this lifestyle for themselves. But I like to encourage people to get out in the outdoors, experience it, camp, take a tent. That's all you need is a tent. You don't even need that. You can sleep in your car if you want. It's not as comfortable. A tent's going to be more comfortable than a car. But if you have a truck bed or a van or something like that, you just sleep in the back of there. You'll be super comfortable. And then you get out and you get to explore nature because you're camping and you get to explore the animals and the weather and all that stuff. Keep your sticks and bricks and go out and camp, explore nature, and see what you like and what you don't like. The idea is just experiencing something new and getting out of your element. And for me, I'm in my element now, actually. I am in my element.